So, Legends of Elysium recently released, actually just this morning as of recording this video, and you might notice just a couple similarities with the game of Faeria. So obviously we absolutely have to talk about this one. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Moonfasa. I have over 2,000 hours in this game's, we'll call it a clone. Let's be honest, it's you'll see in a minute how similar this game is. But I have over 2,000 hours in Faeria. I've played that game to death. Having said that, even though this is pretty clone-like, we haven't gotten very many updates in Faeria in a very long time. It's been several years at this point. So I feel like maybe we're all looking for something like this, even if it is very clone-ish. So I'm going to start a match here and just dive right in, give you guys a little bit of a show on what this game's about. Okay, so let's pick our starting cards real quick. It works a little bit differently. I'm going to use Faeria as a comparison here, so if you've never heard of Faeria, I apologize. Most of us on this channel are coming from this game, so I am going to assume that you have some Faeria knowledge, but basically it works very similar. We have a power wheel, we can build lands, and we have land costs for our creatures. Now, I played a little bit of this, and the turns go by pretty quick, so I am going to take my turns pretty fast here. I'm going to build 2 forests. We're going to dump a creature. So, and another thing we're going to do is I'm going to burn a card, and I know I'm going very quickly here, but I'll discuss in a minute. So, you get to build up to 2 lands. However, placing a land deletes 1 mana from your pool. So that is one thing you can do. You don't have to build the 2 lands if you want to save on mana. Another thing you can do is click this mana button and burn a card for 1 mana. That's an ability you can do once per turn. The turn timer goes by really quick, so I think these first couple turns I'm just going to have to play through. And I'll explain as we're going on. So you might notice some different symbols here. What's this card? Discard a card. Let's delete this. Ranged is very good. Draw a card. Draw a card. Your opponent discards the top card from his or her deck. Not the best. I'm actually just going to hold that. I probably should have just burnt that card, to be honest. Okay, so there's different symbols here. There's actually 2 categories of symbols on the board here. So these stationary objects are ones that happen at the start of turn. There's a tooltip that just popped up there. So lower the cost of 1 card in your hand by 1 mana. This is if you have a creature standing on top of it. Now my little guy is standing on top of the heart, so he gains 1 health at the start of each turn. These hovering icons trigger immediately once you step on top of them. So, for example, I should not have built that plains. I should have been building up to my forest count, but that's okay. So I'm going to go over here and collect this item, which will discount a card. Actually, before I do that, let's burn this card, because I don't like it. Gives us a likelier chance for it to hit something decent. We hit this guy. Let's build another forest. Maybe we're heading up this direction. And I can't afford anything else yet, so we'll just pass like that. Now, the board shifts, or not shifts, but the board icons will change match to match. So you have to kind of adapt your strategy there. There are some interesting things with this, like, let me place down a creature first, and we'll pop back this way. We will build at least 1 forest we'll need, and I don't really want to burn either one of these cards. I think they're both good. So this guy, when he enters battle, all friendly units on the board gain 1/1, and ranged is very good in this game. Actually, probably OP in my opinion. Is kind of nuts. You can hit up to 4 tiles, I believe. Yeah, it can attack other units within 4 hexes. Unlike Faeria, it's not in a straight line, it's 4 hexes anywhere. So my opponent has monopolized the center, which is pretty good for him because he's lowering the cost of mana in his hand constantly. And maybe I should have been aware of that and been fighting for that a little bit more, but that's okay. This guy can shoot And I can move after attacking. That's also something I can do. So we're gonna pop over there, and then we need a 6 forest. I might not want to contest him. I don't know. If I just keep him off of this space, he never gets it, right? So that might be honestly what I do. So I'm gonna pop this guy. I'm gonna probably pop that. Okay, I ran out of time. That's okay. The turns go by super quick. I'm a little bit intimidated by the time bank, honestly. Like, these cards are fairly simple to read, so there's not too much thinking involved there, but it's still a strategy game. I still need a little bit of time to think. And you guys know me, I'm very notorious for taking my time in Faeria, but I wouldn't mind a little bit more. Okay, so yeah, I think the idea is just to knock this guy constantly off of this space. At the start of turn is when this triggers, so as long as we keep him off, pretty easy. And then we should march ourselves towards his face, I suppose. We'll invest the 2 forest, sure. And all friendly units on the board gain 1/1 is pretty good, so I want to get some swarm going. Let's dump this. I think this works. No, it does not. Okay. Okay. Did I run out of time again? Okay, shoot. And I should have swapped these guys around maybe to give my archer health, but anyways, you get the point. Very quick turns. So what I was mentioning a little bit earlier and got distracted is these icons change on the board, so you have to adapt your strategy. Now, one thing that is a lot different from Faeria is in Faeria we get to go down these sort of lanes. We have 2 sides or a center lane, and we're very incentivized in Faeria to go down the sides because of the mana wells. In this game, not always the case. And actually, I'm fairly certain, because I've played a couple games of this, I think these 3 stationary objects are locked. What they provide is random each game, but these 3 will always be a stationary item, which means the center is always something that is probably worth fighting for. Okay, let's scurry around here. These flyers can move up to 2 spaces, and then I think we're gonna buff all of our guys, yeah? All enemy units can't attack and move for 1 round. I'm gonna burn this taunt card because it seems very expensive. And then I think we just pop this guy down. Maybe we build a land for him to step adjacent here. Can still afford that. Bad Faeria player building all of these gross lands. Disgusting. Like, what happens if you have so many units that I can't even click fast enough? Right? Go there, go there, go there. Okay. Lots of things happening. So, yeah, I think this is potentially a disadvantage too. I played this game on stream a little while back, when it was in open beta, and it doesn't seem like too much has changed about it. Maybe some of the graphics a little bit. I think the tiles look a little bit nicer than they once used to. But other than that, I'll touch on this in a sec. I'll just take my turn here, but there is something very real to discuss about that I'm not a massive fan of. Okay, so let's take some value trades. What's this guy doing? Just a 2/2? Is that an orc wife? Oh, and I can't step. Yeah. So yeah, to the turn, I think we don't have very much time to take our turns, and I'm not a big fan of that, because even not talking too much, my turn just ends. So one thing I would like is a little bit more time on the time bank. I do remember that from when I played earlier. But another point that I had to make is when you're forced to the center, it does tend to cluster all of the units around the center. I mean, maybe this game's a little bit different where I went around the sides, my opponent clustered. And I haven't seen super competitive, a super competitive type of game yet. So anything can happen, right? Like when you first play a game, when you first play a game and you're against other new players, like, it's just a massive cluster. At least it's better than Duelist. I'll touch on that a lot, but I always complain about Duelist. Okay, so we have a draw 3 cards, which happens to be called Nature's Wisdom. I wonder where they got that idea from. And then let's burn a card, and then we'll pass. One thing that I do like is... Do I like this? I'm actually undecided on this, but the land building where you get to build up to 2 lands, and any lands that you don't use get stored as mana, is interesting. I don't know how I feel about it yet. I like it so far. It's sad not to have the card draw, especially in this style of game. Let's just finish him there. Especially in this style of game. Oh, I lost my train of thought. Especially in card games, having that card draw option is so nice. Like, we've seen it also in Duelist. In Faeria, of course, this option's very important, and it helps curve your mana really nicely. I guess one thing that helps with that also, though, is the burning of the cards. If you have too expensive of cards, you can burn those ones, or if you don't have enough to play, you can choose to not burn them. So I guess there's that option too, where you have the option to not build lands for a turn, you have the option to not burn a card for the turn, and you're gaining extra mana in this way. So perhaps that actually balances out pretty well. Now, a couple other things to mention about this game is it is tied to crypto things. Now, I am pretty confident this isn't something you have to go down. I know there's a lot of issues that people take with crypto-based games, fairly so. They don't have a very good rep, and I'm not really interested in this either. I'm not going to go down this route and like tie wallets to this and stuff. But if you are interested in that, the option is there. I believe that the gameplay is going to be separate, and this is just going to be part of sort of card earning things. Perhaps there's trading. I don't know all of the details, but definitely could be a thing. I just played Shardbound. I was going to say recently, but it's been a while, hasn't it? I played Shardbound on the channel maybe a little while back at this point, and it's doing a very similar thing where it's trying to tie in crypto things, and kind of the cards, to my knowledge, are acting like NFTs, I believe, but I'm not going to really talk on that because I don't have any knowledge on that whatsoever. Not the person to talk about that, but I'm sure there's people out there more knowledgeable than me on that you can find on YouTube. Now, overall, obviously, this game is taking heavy inspiration from Faeria, and the mechanics that they tweak, I'm a little bit undecided on. Faeria, I will always preach this, I suppose. Faeria is a beautifully designed game. All of its mechanics tie very cleanly with each other, and it just makes for such an insanely well-designed tactical strategy game. This game tweaks a lot of those things, and I do feel that can be dangerous in terms of affecting how the strategies play out. I am so far not a massive fan of how the land structure ends up looking like. Maybe that's just from years of playing Faeria and not seeing the nice land structure I'm used to. But I am also a little bit concerned about that center just being a huge cluster that people rush to. I did bring up Duelist at one point. My main gripe with Duelist is how there's no incentive to go anywhere else on the board. You cluster around one area, and it's just a mess. There's almost no point to having a board in the first place. Now, Legends of Elysium, I don't believe that is true. There are obviously a lot of incentives to go out to other areas of the board, collect these other goodies, but some of the icons are a little bit stronger than others, obviously. Like the one that I was gaining health on, for example, I don't think is a very big deal. You don't really want to have a creature sitting doing nothing. In Faeria, it's very nice having a creature sitting doing quote-unquote nothing because they're collecting extra resources for you. health is not exactly a resource. It could play a role if you then send that creature out later, but basically what I'm saying, not all of the icons feel very equivalent, so you might have board shapes where it just is more beneficial to go down the center. It may even give that player one advantage where they can claim that center tile first and to just try to hold that. There's maybe some mechanics around that, like I was able to keep my opponent off in that last match by just shooting them. However, ranged is another thing that I might take issue with. That 4 range is pretty OP, but this is only my experience from a handful of games, and really I'll have to experience a little bit more to get a better opinion on it. But let me know your thoughts about this one. It is available for free on Steam right now if you guys want to check it out. And let me know if you want to see more content on this one. I could make a couple extra videos, see how it goes. I don't think I'm going to be playing this one quite as much as Faeria. I'll still be participating in those Faeria tournaments, but thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.